Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris, and I'm one of the Shortcuts educators. So, for this one, it's a brand new webinar. So, we're kicking off 2026 with a brand new webinar. And it's all about resetting, reviving, and then potentially referring at the end. So, if you've got some salon friends or any family or anything like that that work in a salon that you think will love shortcuts as much as you do, we've got like a referral scheme. So, do stay tuned for that towards the end. We're all about resetting and reviving. And as we can see, we're all about starting the year strong with our smarter systems, stronger revenue, and better client retention. So that's what we're going to be going through for today. So just for this afternoon, we're using a brand new webinar piece of software. So this is my first time using it. So if any of the audio drops out or anything like that does happen, please do drop me a message. You should see a little chat box. Please do have a little chat with me and just raise your hand, anything like that, should we have any issues. But we've done lots of practicing. We should be absolutely fine. This afternoon's class, as always, is going to be recorded. So if you do need to drop out for whatever reason, it's not a problem. Please do just drop us a message at education@shortcuts.co.uk and we can send you over we can send you over the recording. So, if this is your first time joining us for one of our Shortcuts masterclasses, thank you ever so much. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So typically, our masterclasses sort of comprise or consist, sorry, of a PowerPoint presentation and sort of a live demonstration. Today, it's really all going to be about the PowerPoint presentation. Now, there are going to be some bits within that presentation that you might think, okay, well, I've never seen, or I'd like a demonstration on it, or anything like that at all that you feel. Drop us a message, let me know in the chat. More than happy to jump on a little one-to-one with all of you and show you some of those things that you may have missed or you may not feel that you're using or getting the most out of. So if at any point when you do hear me referring to anything at all today, please do just let me know and just say, look, Chris, I've never used that before. I'm interested in that. Please do let me know and I can jump on and show you at a time convenient for yourself to see that. So it's a little bit after 2 there. Today's masterclass will be roughly 30 to 45 minutes long. Like I said, if you do need to drop out at any point, please do so and just request the recording. So let's reset, revive, and then refer. Okay, so why this webinar? Okay, so between January and March, as we all know, we call it the switch zone. Okay, so this is the quietest time of the year for many salons. Okay, we've had the rush, November and December, and we're on that quieter period now. So this is the best time to reset your system, your processes, and your prices. Okay, so small changes now equal big impact when things get busy again. Okay. So here's what you missed. So there was a couple of things throughout December and obviously towards the latter stages of December that you may have missed. So a quick update for all of you. So there's some powerful features you may not have fully explored yet. Okay, so related services, a fantastic feature. So we all know sort of when we find that scenario where the customer's booking a color and they're not booking a cut, or they're booking a color right at the end of the day. Okay, so that related services bridges the gap. Okay, so it basically fuses sort of relationships between the two services. So we can say if you do book a color, it requires a cut or a cut and blow dry or a treatment or something like that. And it does also come hand in hand with something called recommended services. Now, recommended services is organic upselling. So you know how difficult it can be having that awkward conversation, do you want to have a treatment? The customer can do that whilst booking online. They can say often booked with. We've got a new touch tip UI in the cloud, so a new touch tip user interface. So it really takes us through the steps, and it's the most logical steps that we would go through next. So reviewed, booked, confirmed. It takes us through all of those steps, and we can see that on the imagery to the right there. Integrated payments. So we're working with a preferred payment provider. So if you are looking at having an integrated card machine, anything like that, reduces miscalculations, missteps, everything like that, makes end of day wizardry an absolute breeze, ladies and gents. You haven't got to do the Z reading on a card machine or anything like that. Nope, not at all. You've literally just got to do your normal transactions throughout the day and it will calculate all automatically for you. Now, we also have something fantastic called a cube or a PC cube, which is a very, very small PC. And there's a couple of different reasons why you may use it. It's perfect if you're a sole trader and you're wanting something a little bit more intuitive, or maybe you're wanting something a little bit more sort of feature heavy than our Shortcuts Air. You know, you're wanting all of the features, everything like that. And maybe you don't have the room for a full PC. Maybe you're renting a chair, something like that. It's fantastic if you work off of a tablet. So if you're running a tablet in a salon, or again, you just simply do not have the room for a full PC, you know, you don't have a reception desk or anything like that. It's very, very small. You can run it off a tablet. And also as well, if you prefer, if you're like a Mac user, something like that. But it's brilliant. You pay for it monthly. Prices start off roughly around £30 a month with, I think, about a £50 deposit. So it's extremely affordable at the moment, which is one of the most attractive things about it. So rather than paying, if you do need to upgrade, so some of you watching might be thinking, look, do you know what part of my January sort of tick list to do is to upgrade that PC? It's a little bit on the spec, but I can't quite afford the full outlay of a PC. Speak to us, see what we can do for you, but also looking at one of those cubes that you essentially sort of pay for monthly on like a rental stage, should we say. Very, very affordable way of doing things. We have lots and lots of customers that are using that at the moment. So that's a Cube PC. So a couple of things you may have missed there throughout 2025. Related services, if you're not using it, and you want a way to organically increase your revenue, related services, ladies and gents, is the way to do it. We've got that new powerful touch tip user interface in the cloud, integrated payments, deposit schemes, booking deposits, everything like that. And of course, the Cube PCs that we just spoke about just there. Okay, so as we move into February, let's reset for the new year. Clients and marketing. So the first thing we want to do, let's re-engage and clean up your database. Okay, so the first thing I want all us to think about is those non-returning campaigns. Okay, so if you've never done marketing and shortcuts before, you're missing out. Again, if you want a one-to-one or anything like that, please do let me know. More than happy to go through that with you. Okay, so those non-returning campaigns, guess what? They're preset in the cloud. Okay, you can use Marketing Plus, but in the cloud, they're preset those non-returning campaigns. We can also use targeted campaigns to bring back clients with purpose. So maybe you're doing something a little bit more extravagant, a little bit more in depth. Maybe you want to take your marketing that one step further. So those non-returning campaigns, they're preset. I think they're roughly around 16 weeks, but you might want to target your non-returning clients that maybe came in for a color, maybe came in for a skin fade. You want to target those clients with a purpose. And let's also use it to identify gaps and opportunities before the peak season. Because before we know it, we're going to be moving into the wedding season. We're going to be moving into like things like Ascot, the races, proms, probably, all these kind of things that we're going to be thinking about. So ultimately, ladies and gents, the outcome is more bookings from your clients you already have. Okay. So we always talk about loyalty in situations like that. Let's keep more bookings from the clients we already have. Obviously, we want to continue growing with new clients, but let's keep those clients coming back that have already visited your businesses and everything like that. Team and performance. Get clarity on performance early in the years. I know a lot of us maybe think we don't have time to do appraisals with our staff and our hairdressers and things like that, but let's get the clarity on their performance early on the year. So let's take a look at staff targets. So we have targets in the cloud. If you've never used it, open up your cloud appointment book. Again, if anybody wants me to go through anything that you see here that you're not quite sure about, drop me a message at the end. Just say, Chris, I'm interested in the targets or the booking deposits or anything like that. Staff targets in the cloud. Open up your clouds and just go to the employees on the left-hand side and take a look at those targets set up. It's a great way for your staff to track their targets themselves. It synchronizes in real time. It can be things such as retail, it can be rebooking percentage, it could be total revenue, everything like that. Now, what we always say, the beauty of these targets, ladies and gents, what we want to say is, even if your staff are not chair renters or anything like that, even if they're employed by you, what we want them to do, we want them to treat their column as if it was their own business. Let them have that sort of mindset, okay? That their column, whether they're employed or not, their column is their business. Let them treat it that way because we're all going to make more money if they see it that way. Let's take a look at general KPIs to track productivity and growth. How many clients do they see in a day? What's the average client that they take a day? What's the average client spend that they do a week? What was it throughout December? What was it this time last year? Let's keep a look on those averages. Can we boil it down to how many clients they see per hour, average spend per hour? How many customers do they see an hour? Is it one customer an hour, two customers per hour? Anything like that. But we want clear expectations, okay? Better results and accountability. Again, which is where those KPI tiles come in very handy if they use the cloud dashboard. And also, again, using those targets within the cloud. In Fusion, if you're a Fusion user, make sure you look at performance. So go into your navigation bar, take a look at your performance. If they've got the correct security setup, click the profile photo at the top of your Fusion, where you've got the photographs and things like that. Click your profile at the top and take a look at your KPIs there. You might have the per hour and everything like that set up. So lots of different ways to track it. And of course, the outcome. A focused, aligned team from the start of the year. No point sort of getting sort of halfway through the year and realizing, people are not on the same wavelength for yourself, everything like that. We want everybody to be on exactly the same alignment. So that's our team and performance. So reset in the new year again, keeping with the team and retention. So why retention matters. So 61% of Salon employees leave within their first year. Now, there's obviously lots of different reasons why that may be the case. Average tenure is 2 years. And industry turnover is roughly 30 to 45% annually. Now, this is costing around $36,000 a year lost per stylist. And as we all know, what happens, those clients follow them out the door. So we're losing sort of 30 to 40,000 pounds, dollars. The beauty industry spends $3 million daily on turnover costs. Okay, so you can see not just the fact that those customers aren't coming back through the door, we can see just how much it is costing us as a business. Warning signs. Okay, now this is something to really keep an eye on. So you might have a staff member. Do their rebookings drop? Okay, so 59%, we want to be looking at around 59, 60%. They're dropping to 56%. Okay, so we're seeing a good couple of percentage drop there. Beauty is dropping from 54% to 45%. So if you notice little shifts in attitude changes from your staff members, are they not rebooking their customers in? And they're usually very good. Why? Is that because they're thinking they're going elsewhere? Or are they just not worried about it anymore? And cancellations. Are clients constantly canceling with that stylist, that therapist, or that barber? Is it because they're not showing up for work, or are they canceling because they've moved elsewhere, or they've said, look, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm going to be working elsewhere? Look for those sorts of like trends that we're noticing. And again, hair 21%, beauty 15%. So, what the stylists want, 78% prefer flexible scheduling over higher pay. Non-monetary perks boost. Non-monetary perks boost engagement by 55%, so that's over half. And recognition reduces turnover risk by 45%. So Johnny, one of our educators in one of our other regions, he was talking with some of his clients on a webinar and things like that. And he was explaining, we all know Gen Z, Gen X, everything like that, different sort of generations. And they were basically saying that nowadays they're not always money driven. A lot of it is an upshot. Maybe when I was younger, money was a bit more of an upshot, but they're sort of saying now that the slightly younger generation, as we know, a lot of the younger generation does move into our industry. They're saying they're not always sort of focused on the money. 78% prefer flexible scheduling over higher pay. And some of them just like the recognition. They like to feel valued as well. Because if they don't feel valued with yourselves, they might move on to someone else. So it's all about making them feel valued. So make sure, you compliment your staff, make sure your staff are getting the training that they feel they need, and making sure they're getting the recognition as well as some of those other parks. So as we saw, recognition reduces turnover risk by almost half. So sometimes, just pulling them aside and just saying that was a great haircut, fantastic what you did. Thanks for coming in early. I appreciate you staying late. Appreciate you squeezing that. Um, Extra client. And sometimes that's all it can take with our staff. And obviously that in the long run, they say with a compliment, it's the easiest thing to give and the nicest thing to receive. So maybe we should also, we can add that into our everyday work. And it's free, of course, if we can compliment our staff and recognize our staff's hard work, especially since COVID, I think we've all noticed a shift since then. We can all give that recognition. We're reducing turnover by up to 50%, which is saving us so much money in the long run. So that's why retention matters there. Reset in the new year with your retail and stock. Okay, so some of you may have over-ordered. We've all done it. November, December, we might have over-ordered on those box sets, those gift sets. Some of you may have got too much going on. So what we want to do, let's turn that surplus stock into an opportunity. So we can think about bundling stock to move leftover stock. Okay, so you might have surplus shampoos and conditioners. Let's think about creating a little deluxe home care for the winter months moving into the summer. We can bundle those shampoos, conditioners, maybe a little brush in there as well. Um, Increase retail per visit without eroding margins. Okay. So clients love to be sold to. Okay. Not all of them, but it makes us feel good if we feel like we're being sold to. It's all about as well educating our clients. If you've just spent ages, on a beautiful color, lovely color correction, we've all seen it. And then they go and maybe purchase a slightly cheaper supermarket brand that's full of sulfates, everything like coats the hair, strips the color. We see it all of the time. It's all about the investment. So if they've just spent, two, three, £400 on a beautiful color correction, let's recommend that product. And also, top tip for you this afternoon, ladies and gents, don't wait to the end to discuss those retail products. Why? Because your client's ready to leave. They're looking at going home, getting back to work, getting back to the children, whatever it is they need to do. Do it at the beginning, okay? Get those products ready, get those shampoos ready. Let that customer smell that shampoo or the conditioner or the skin cream, whatever it may be. Let them smell it. It excites the senses, which is why a lot of things, you have things like very citrusy, lemon, all those kind of very zesty, excites the senses. Let the customer smell them, let them see them, let them try them. Put them in their hands because it then becomes, psychologically, it becomes theirs. They're holding it. Talk about it, educate them, explain, look, you're investing in your hair today, it's winter. Let's look at a way to not cover it in, parabens and sulfates and, everything that's going to strip the color. Ultimately, if their color fades, they're going to be back. Okay. And they might not be too happy about coming back so soon. Obviously, we want them to come back for root tints and everything like that. But if they're coming back, or maybe as we have seen it, and I've seen it with my clients over the years, they then go, I'll just go and put a box dye on it because the color didn't last, So make sure we're explaining all of this. As much as, we're very much into education, make sure our customers are educated in it as well. And another top tip for you when it comes to retail, ladies and gents, don't just show them one, show them two or three. Why? Law of averages, and again, the psychology behind it. If you show them three products, they're more often likely to take one out of those three: shampoo, conditioner, leave-in conditioner, styling product, whatever it may be, a mask. Don't just show them one. And also, like I said, the worst thing you can do, ladies and gents, is at the end just say to them, do you want to take any products today? Because that kind of, if they did, they're already kind of on the back foot because you've just said to them, do you want to take any products? It's almost as if it's like, it's going to be an inconvenience if they want to take those products. So a couple of things take away from that. Show them two to three products, let them feel them, let them smell them, let them have them. And don't wait to the end to do it. Do it at the beginning. And of course, those of you that maybe struggle with the conversation, you're not quite sure how to get the conversation started, it's a great conversation starter. Hand them the products. If they're not interested, fine, we can move on. But let those customers see, educate them as well. Healthier stock levels and stronger retail performance. That's what we want moving forward. Healthier stock levels and stronger retail performance. So, with your retail, what should you aim for in 2026? Okay, so for those of you for your hair salons, we're looking at around 15 to 20% retail share. We're looking at 25% or more for our top performers. Okay, so hopefully some of you are looking at that thinking, let's smash that. Let's look at least 25%. For barbershops, 10 to 15, with 15 to 20% for retail performers. And beauty clinics, roughly in the middle there, 12 to 18% retail share with 20 to 25% for top performers. If you're under 10%, you're leaving easy revenue on the table. Retail could be the fastest way to strengthen your bottom line. And I will give you from somebody in the industry, somebody that is a hairdresser, but also as somebody that is also a client when I go places. There are many times I went and got my hair cut last Tuesday, and I loved what they did. And at no point did they discuss any of the retail products. And I remember thinking, like, it looks amazing, from the shampoo, from the condition, right the way through to the finished product. There was a couple of different products used. I had absolutely no idea what was used. I probably would have bought them. So, if your average product is £20 for a very little bit of easy work there, you could have maybe done a quarter to maybe done a 0.5% of the total value bill. So if you're watching this thinking, "Oh, I'm one of those, I just put, a little bit of wax in my gent's hair, or I just spray the hairspray and I don't tell them, from myself there as both a hairdresser and a client of people, you're missing out. So just give it a try, If not, move on to the next person, but certainly give it a try. So that's what we should be looking for there, around 15 to 20% across the board. So plan for the year ahead. Okay, so we've just literally moved into February, pricing and stock. Set yourselves up properly for the year. Okay, so when was the last time you did a stock take and checked your prices were updated accordingly? I spoke to a lady the other day. She's perfectly fine for me to say this. She hadn't done a stock take since 2017, so we're coming up for a good 10 years. And she just had no idea what kind of product she had on the shelf. She had no idea whether those product prices had been updated. So use Shortcuts Fusion system. Again, if you're watching this and you want me to run through how to do a stock take, it's very, very simple, very, very quick to do. More than happy to show you how to do that. Again, if you need help adjusting the prices, please let us know. We can show you how to do that. Stock import considerations at Shortcuts. We can do a mass stock import for you. Prices do vary on how long it takes, but it's usually upwards of around, I think it's usually around £90 to do it for like a brand that's around, 150, 200 products. But we can do all of that for you as long as you've got a spreadsheet or a document with those prices in. If you're worried about it taking a long time, we can do a mass import, update the prices, update the barcodes, everything like that. Done quite a few sort of in January already. So if that's something you're interested in, again, please do let us know. Service price increases, how to approach them confidently and strategically. Now, we all know everything's going up, cost of living, it's just the way it is. And unfortunately, I think as yourself as a business owner, you're going to find yourself doing that as well, putting those prices up. But you shouldn't feel guilty about doing it. You shouldn't feel guilty about adding in booking deposits. It's all about keeping us afloat, and people should value your time as well. Now, one thing that I always say when it comes to increasing your prices is do make sure you are staying consistent with increasing your prices. So if you have put a price up, make sure your consultation is consistent. If it's not, and you have put your price up quite a bit, make sure you are spending a good sort of 5, maybe 10 minutes on that consultation. We're all guilty of it, not the just usual, same again. Make sure we're giving that proper consultation. We're discussing the hair, everything like that. Stay consistent. Again, make sure we're discussing retail. Make sure we're discussing treatments, make sure we're educating that customer, make sure we're also rebooking that customer. At the end, make sure we say to them, to keep the color looking vibrant, or especially throughout the colder winter months, let's get you back in 4 weeks. Let's not just leave it up to them. Let's take control of that. So again, if you are putting those prices up, make sure you are adding that sort of extra level in there as well. Now, something I love is tiered pricing or structured pricing or different level pricing. Again, that can all be done on your Shortcuts Fusion system. Now, some of you may be watching this thinking, yep, I have level pricing, tiered pricing, everything like that. Some salons we speak to, they all charge the same, which is perfectly fine. I'm not here to say that's right or that's wrong. One of the reasons I particularly love tiered pricing, and I know a lot of our other educators do, the reason we love tiered pricing is if you've got a different pricing structure, if you do increase that price, and unfortunately, that customer, you may lose one customer. They may not be able to afford your new price. They may not wish to be may not be wish to be spending that amount of money on the hair or their beauty treatment. But if you've got level pricing and there's somebody, should we say, with a level below you, that customer can then drop down to that level. So you're not essentially losing them as a business owner as a whole. Whereas if you all charge the same, you're all kind of being lumped in together. So if you all charge £65 for a wash, cut and blow dry and you move that to 70 and you do find that customer isn't willing to push it to £70, you've lost them as a whole, unfortunately. But with that level pricing, they're not able to afford yourself because you've gone up to 75, but you've got your principal stylist at 70. They can drop down to that and they can still keep that same keep the same business, keep the same salon that they love. So that's why we love level pricing. And that can all be set up in Fusion as well. So again, the outcome there is sustainable pricing and clearer margins. So booking deposits. Now, something we get asked a lot is something we do a lot of in Shortcuts. So should we be taking a deposit? Yep, absolutely. And there's no sort of right or wrong way to of how much we should be taking. 6, 7 years ago, we found it was usually restaurants for a table or more of 10, maybe a doctor's or anything like that. I can't even remember. They took a deposit. But we're finding a way now. We just cannot afford to be having missed appointments, and if they're willing to come to you, if they are going to come to you, they are most people nowadays, it's sort of a new culture. It's like a new regime. We are happy to pay a small deposit. So how do we know as a business owner whether we should be taking a deposit? Well, most people are nowadays, but one of the first things we can do, we can use the no-show report to identify those revenue leaks. So again, if you want me to go through reporting with you, more than happy to, please let me know. But if you just go to your tools and your reports in your Shortcuts Fusion system, that's tools and your reports. I think it's under appointments at the top. And it's that no-show report. Have a look at those no-shows. What percentage of the appointments were no-shows? Anything like that. So if we are noticing we do need those booking deposits, let's get them set up. It can be done in less than 30 minutes. And what that does is it shows the real cost of no-shows. A lot of the times we'll just look at our column and we think, missed out on a wash, cut and blow dry today. Oh, never mind. I'll quickly nip to the shop. I've got to run that back, or I've got to grab something from the supermarket. And we don't really see the real cost of the no-shows. We might think, yeah, I only had one or two this week, I think it was, and I think it was only about £60. Take a look at that report. What percentage were no-shows? What percentage were non-no-shows? Which ones did show up? That will really show us the cost of those no-shows. And booking deposits are a revenue protection strategy. It's a great way those customers can come in, they use it as a deposit, it can be taken off the bill. Outcome, fewer no-shows, stronger commitment, protected revenue. It's a win-win for everyone. So you might be sat there thinking, okay, Chris, what percentage should I request? Okay, so first and foremost, for your high value services, so for your extensions, your lasering, massages, your balayages, everything like that, there's a high value service. We're looking at around 20 to 50% of the service cost. Now, why do we do that? Well, it covers the time and your materials. Some of you will know if you've outlaid or invested in your lasering machine, or your tattoo machines or anything like that, or your qualifications. So for a lot of like anaesthetists and things like that. Of course, for our ladies and gents that maybe do hair extensions, if you've had to order the hair in, do the consultation, everything like that. So we're looking at around 20 to 50% of the service cost. So should we say for the more standard services, we're looking at around flat deposit of anywhere between 20 to $50. So, sort of 15 to £45, something like that, which is a simple way to secure commitment. Now, of course, if you're thinking, okay, well, I do predominantly waxing and some of my services are only sort of £5, £10, £15, things like that, just adjust it accordingly. For those new clients, slightly higher deposit. Okay, it doesn't have to be crazy amounts, but a slightly higher deposit helps filter out those no-shows for those new clients. Now, in Shortcuts Fusion, you can set up your booking deposits to be just for new clients, and then you can have a secondary one for all clients, things like that. So you can do it specifically for new clients. And most importantly, there's no better way to find out than simply test and then adjust if accordingly. So we can start off small and increase if needed. Okay, so Fusion lets you change deposit rules instantly. So we can do that. Once you've got the rule set up, if you're finding it's too much or it's not enough, we can adjust it accordingly. We did have somebody before couple of weeks ago were taking 100% of the bill. They were getting an influx of phone calls saying, look, do you know what? I just can't afford to do it at the moment. No problem. They adjusted it and they moved it down to a 50% deposit with a minimum, I think, of around £5. I think they took in the end. It was something that I can't quite remember. But a pro tip, okay? So keep your deposit amount reasonably sort of reasonable. Okay, so keep it reasonable. High enough to deter no-shows, but not so high it puts people off. Okay, so again, some people might think, oh, okay, it's only a £5 deposit I paid, or it was only a £2 deposit I paid, anything like that. I might be like, okay, well, I'm happy to lose that. I know I certainly wouldn't personally. I wouldn't want to be losing any money as a client, not showing up for the appointment. But they might look at that and go, oh, okay, well, I'm happy to lose that. But at the same time, we don't want it so high, as I just said with my example. If it's something like 100%, it might be, look, we're just not going to pay that. And they might phone up, or they might not even book with you, which is worse, isn't it? Because you've lost money that way as well. So, like we said, high value services between 20 to 50%. And standard services anywhere sort of between $20 to $50, 15 sort of 40, £45. But obviously take into account, your clients better than all of us. Take into account your demographics, your location, your service pricing, everything like that. These are just sort of general ideas of what may work for you. Okay, so as we draw to a close, like I said, just a very quick one today. For our masterclasses moving forward, we will be doing lots of live demonstrations showing you what to do. But again, if any of you watching this have thought, I would love to see about related services, I want to learn more about the cube. Can you show me how this report works or the booking deposits? Drop us an email. That's education@shortcuts.co.uk. That's education@shortcuts.co.uk. Just say you saw Chris on the masterclass. You just want a nice little one-to-one. You want to see the reports. You want to see how to set up booking deposits. We can go through that with you. Okay. So reset, revive, and refer. So know a salon that would benefit from Shortcuts as much as yourself. Refer a salon to Shortcuts and you will receive some special gifts from us. So you can take your team out to lunch on us with a Visa gift card. So again, it's all about that recognition. Take your staff out. Free training ongoing from Shortcuts. It's one-to-one web training. We can even do, in person. We do the kind of training that works for you. We bespoke it for you. We send you videos, custom-made videos for you, relevant to the subject matter. We send you screenshots. We don't just sort of leave you sort of high and dry with that. We also do a complimentary software health check, which is what I've been doing over the last week. That means we take a backup of your database, and we check everything. We check your marketing, we check your reports, we check your slow moving stock, everything that we go through it with a fine tooth comb and usually end up with about a 150-page report that will show you everything you are using or maybe that you're not using as well. Plus, of course, some extra goodies, and we all love those extra goodies there as well. So if you do want to refer any salons, even if they just want to have a demonstration, they just want to have a chat with one of us, that's not a problem. Okay, so that is it for this afternoon, ladies and gents. So first and foremost, thank you ever so much for joining me. We've got lots more masterclasses coming up where we're going to be going through lots of live demonstrations, showing you different things, getting you getting the most out of this software. But as a bit of a recap, if you want any help, please do drop us an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. It's time to move into the next chapter with Shortcuts with us. So if you need help updating those prices, let us know. If you need to do a stock take, let us know. If you need those deposits setting up again, just let us know. Drop me an email at education@shortcuts.co.uk. That's education@shortcuts.co.uk. Thank you ever so much for watching. If you do have any questions, please feel free to pop those over to me now. Perfect. So I think that's it for all of the questions this afternoon. Again, thank you ever so much for joining. Please stay tuned for all our future masterclasses. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all again. My name was Chris. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I shall see you all again soon. Thank you ever so much. Bye bye. Take care for now.